What's up, everybody? I'm Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Zur the Enchanter.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's episode 90 of the Commander's Brew. We made it. We're in the 90s.
That's a lot of episodes. We're in the 90s.
Oh, man.
The decade that brought us Darkwing Duck.
This is my jam. This is where I know what's happening. I'm confident here in the 90s.
Yeah,
Give me that Chip and Pepper and Varney.
I'm mature enough to make my own mistakes.
Yeah, give me that late seasons of Who's the Boss and Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me that Frasier.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Guys, 90s is huge.
Friends?
Yeah, Friends 90s for sure. Started.
Yeah, right. Okay. Seinfeld.
Yes. Seinfeld started in the 80s. Isn't that weird?
Oh, that's very weird.
It started in 88 or 89.
Wow.
Weird. Anyways, we're here. We're in the 90s. It's episode 90. We made it.
Commander's Brew.
Commander's Brew. We're still going coast to coast here from Toronto, Ontario, over to Los Angeles, California.
Yeah. Bringing you a budget brew every week.
Yep.
The deck's going to be $50 and no card's going to be over $5 unless we really want it to be in there.
Exactly. We're focusing on budget cards here. We're trying to find you some stuff that'll help you perk up your decks, get some rare finds, right? That's what we're looking for here. Cheap stuff that's rare, that fits in, that's really great. Build a whole deck around a cool theme. So what's the theme this week? I mean, we're not going to jump right into it, but what's the theme?
Yeah, we're doing Zur the Enchanter,
right.
which traditionally is a little bit of a, he's got a bit of a reputation sometimes.
Oh, yes.
As being a little bit unfair, a little bit cheap. But we're not going to do that way. We're going to build a fair and fun version of it.
That's right. Zur has a bad reputation, I would say.
Yeah.
Straight up bad. People hate this card because it just tutors and you get the same things going every time and it can become a very popular Voltron deck, but that's not what we're about this week.
Not at all. Yeah, so we'll get into that in a sec. But before we do, we should let you know that we have one banned topic that we never talk about.
Yeah, and that is obviously the stupid idea that somehow these special cells inside of your blood are the ones that interpret the will of the Force and tell you, and tell someone who's a Jedi and who's not. Do you know what I mean? Midi-chlorians, exactly.
Yeah, we're not talking about
No,
midi-chlorians.
we're not talking about that. They originated in episode 1 of The Phantom Menace.
Nope. But we're not talking about it.
And Qui-Gon Jinn
we're not talking
found
about
them
it.
in Anakin, and it's just he
Yeah,
fed
but
with
we're not
a little medical reader thing that told
Sure.
him, "Oh, this guy's a Jedi." It's like,
but since we're not talking about it, none of that
honestly,
matters.
so stupid.
We're not talking about midi-chlorians.
So dumb. We're not even going to mention it.
We're not even going to mention, as I pull up the Wikipedia page, here is everything written about them, which we will not talk about.
All of these things we will not talk about. All of these things.
Yeah.
Yep, that's true. That's our one band topic. I mean, feel free to talk about politics, religion, Hearthstone,
Hip-hop.
whatever you like. Oh, is that a band thing on Commander? Yeah, that's right. It is. I forgot. I'm more of a fan of the classic 3.
Yeah, right.
Did they unban one of them? They should unban one.
Or just for 10 minutes. Start a clock and then just be no banned topics for 10 minutes.
It just
Hearthstone.
Yeah, it just turns into a Hearthstone podcast.
Man, how come when I get more crystals? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't really know Hearthstone.
How come when I get more crystals?
How come I get more crystals, but then I still don't feel complete as a person?
It's because you're not drawing those crystals out of your deck, person. That's why. Don't you know that in order to feel good about your resource managing in this card game, you need to draw it yourself and feel like you've accomplished something that way?
Yeah.
Take that, Hearthstone. No, man, we're into that. We like Hearthstone. That's not banned over here. We'll talk about that all day if we want, but we don't want to. Anyways. Moving on. Let's we got a sponsor on the show, of course, Wizard Tower. The Wizard's Tower. It's a great. We've been with them for a long time now. We should mark when we started with them so we can celebrate our anniversary.
Oh yeah, our Wizard Tower anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a lot, and I know that this ad, all the ads leading up to this one were for the last little while have been based around Kaladesh, of course.
Yeah, we're about to move away from Kaladesh, so this might be the last Wizard's Tower ad from the plane of Kaladesh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll get more ads from the plane of Amonkhet once we get into that season.
Yeah, of course we will. But this could be one of the last ones from Kaladesh. So here it is. Let's see what's happening over there.
Thank you for choosing the Tour of Kaladesh. We'll be touring around and showing you all the sights. We're on the Express, only instead of express this time, we're on a tour. Okay, on your right is the consulate headquarters. Look how big it is. So imposing. And on your right is a gear hulk of some kind. We'd need to see it in action to see what kind of adjective it has, but I don't know, maybe combustible? Who knows? And on your left is the Aetherflux Reservoir, where it holds all the ether. One day it'll blow up and kill us all. And on your right is the Wizard's Tower, wizardtower.com. It's a great place to buy magic singles.
Okay, nobody move. I'm taking over this train. I've hooked up a bomb to go off. If this train goes under 50 miles per hour, the whole thing is gonna blow up. Okay, now I'm just gonna untether this thing and take it out of here. My demands are simple. All I want is free shipping on magic singles on orders $15 or more to Canada, $10 or more to the US. And I want to be able to use a coupon code, something like Tower of Brews, to get an extra 5% off. And is it too much to ask to get 3% kickback on my next order? I don't think so.
All right, squad. You might have heard that there's a runaway train on the loose in the capital. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. We're too far out and we're too spread thin. However, I happen to know we got one cop on board who happens to be on his way to retirement. He's our only chance to stop this maniac.
Okay, excuse me, wise guy. KPD, drop your weapon and nobody needs to get hurt.
Oh, you think you can stop me? You'll have to kill me first.
Well, if it's a fight you're looking for, you came to the right place, at the right time, with me. Look out, we're headed straight for the reservoir!
Oh my God.
Oh dear.
Oh, I mean, we kind of knew it was coming a little bit, right?
I mean,
that thing was going to blow.
Yeah, it's very ominous.
Yeah. I hope everyone's okay over there. Although I mean, hopefully they all had more than 50 life.
You're right. Hopefully everyone had more than 50 life.
Yeah, exactly. Then they can survive that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was an epic ad too. That was like watching a little movie.
yeah. Great.
There was a
fun.
beginning, a middle, and an end there. It's perfect. Also, we'll quickly mention our Patreon, and we got something special for our patrons starting basically this week or a couple days ago. Our good buds over at the Command Zone have started their own and have developed their own app for life tracking for your phone. So it's for Android and iPhone, obviously. And it's called Lifelinker, and it's a great little thing, and it's free. And what you can do is you can go in there, and when you're setting up the number of players and the life totals and all that, you can select a background image and a color. And the background images that they have available just so happen to be other podcasts in the Magic community, and we are one of them. And how do you get that image, Sean? How do you get the Commander's Brew patented Matt Tilling logo of right? Is that Matt Tilling? Wait, no,
Matt
Strott.
Yeah,
sorry,
Matt Strott.
I was talking to Matt Tilling on Twitter.
Too many Matts.
Right,
Too many Matts.
our boy Matt Strott, artist.
Yeah,
image.
his handle is Messy Comics.
That's right. Yeah.
So you might be more familiar with his Twitter handle.
Yeah. So how do we get it?
Right. Okay. Right. That was the whole point of this. Right. So the way this is something that we are offering for free for any of our patrons, no matter what level of reward. If you're one of our patrons, you get that code, so you can unlock that background, so you can have our little logo behind your life total while you play and track your EDH life.
That's right. You get our little construction bolus. Down there with his little safety glasses on. Now here's the thing.
Yeah.
I sent them. I sent Jimmy and Josh the just the dragon head.
Yeah.
By accident, and then I was like, oh, let me send you the full version, like, you know. And they were like, no, we like this, and I was like, actually, I think I kind of like that too when I saw it, but we can change it. But I kind of like
nice.
it. I kind of like it just the dragon.
Yeah, it's very nice. Because, it's not like it doesn't have our name on it, but if you have it, you know why you have it.
Exactly.
So you are aware.
And I feel like anyone who sees it would be like, hey, what's that one from? You know?
Yeah. Mystery.
Like, oh, these guys? These guys who are big fans of Who's the Boss and Frasier?
Yo, this a cartoon?
Yeah. Yo, what's this cartoon, man? That's how everyone who plays Commander, I guess, talks. I don't know. Oh, yo, man,
cartoon?
What's this cartoon?
Sort of Swedish.
Yeah.
Yo, man, what's this cartoon?
Yo, man, how's this cartoon?
How's this cartoon there?
This is vaguely European, sort of Northern European.
I know we have a few listeners from Europe. Is that an offensive Swedish accent?
I don't even think that's close to being Swedish.
No, right. But like the fact that I think it even might be.
Yeah, that might be offensive.
Because I know it's not Swedish Chef. I know that's not at all anything.
That's not. Yeah, that's not even close.
But
either.
My favorite kind of like when I'm doing improv shows and I want to do like a sort of European accent, I like to do that sort of just like speaking in English, like a European that learned English and kind of overpronounces a lot of things.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Not a specific accent, but just a lot of overpronunciations.
I don't know what. See, like, what does that? I guess it kind of sounds vaguely like Scandinavian, sort of, like almost like Dutch or something, though, more so.
Could you please tell me where to get to the museum?
Okay, now that could be anything. I like that, though. It's like non-specific. It's, you know.
I'm interested in some art galleries.
I watched, you know what's great, though? Okay, so I watched the Canada versus Sweden curling world finals last night.
Finally, put that rivalry to bed for once and for all.
Oh, please.
Who is it? Canada or Sweden?
Hey, listen, Sweden won last year. Canada won this year, though.
Finally, take that, whatever the curling trophy is, back home where it belongs.
The gold medal, the world championships. And those guys had those guys had classic Swedish accents. They were great. I can't do them because I'm not good at it, but it's kind of like when Drew Barrymore was in Wayne's World 2. I was like, it's Fjörgen or the Killergan Fjords. Remember that?
Oh, okay.
Speaking of the 90s.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
I felt like Drew Barrymore really nailed it in that movie. But let's get into this, man. Let's get into this stuff here.
Great.
We love our Swedish listeners. We love the country of Sweden. Matt Sundin was the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs for many years. I've got great respect for that country. What about Zur the Enchanter, though? What's he got to say?
Yeah, so generally speaking, why do people not like Zur decks?
Oh, wait, we got to burn that other card.
Oh, yeah, we do roasts now.
Oh,
yeah,
right. Oh, we do roasts now. So, okay. We can't forget this because, we do roasts now. So our fun little other little thing we've been doing lately is we're burning these cards. So here's what we're doing. We're roasting cards, commander cards, right? We're not just taking simple bad cards from Magic's history here. We're talking about stuff that you might have thought would be good in EDH and instead let you down a bit.
But also possibly, we don't want to close the door on that. We could do awful cards.
Listen, maybe we'll do that in the future and just really roast up some crappy old card from a million years ago. But for right now, this is what we're doing. So last week we did, what did we do? We did
Soul Separator.
Soul Separator. Everyone was stoked about that card. Turns out, pure garbo. This time, this one's it looked good off the top, but then once we got it in play, guess what? It never ever does what you want it to do. It's our old bud, Sire of Stagnation. It's 4 blue black. It's the 5/7 Eldrazi with Devoid from Battle for Zendikar. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player exiles the top 2 cards of his or her library, and you draw 2 cards. How is this bad, Sean? What?
Well, it sounds excellent, and I've run it in decks before, but it never does what you want it to do because people, by the time you get it out, you usually everyone has like 10 lands out, so no one cares and they just stop playing lands.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing that would happen in draft, although it's less punishing in a draft, right? Like, if you were in limited and you saw this card, you're like, oh crap, it's 5/7. This thing's gonna kill me, and if I can't play my lands, like it's extra gonna kill me. So you might have just played 1 or 2, but anyways, in EDH, guess what? You're just gonna wait.
Yeah, great. So let's begin the roast of Sire of Stagnation.
Yeah, man.
Hey, Sire of Stagnation, I'll give you that your name is accurate because games stagnate in total boredom until somebody exiles you.
Huge burn. Huge rip. Huge burn. Sire of Stagnation, the less good Staff of Nin.
Nice.
The harder to cast Staff of Nin.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Stagnation, you sound like a cheap canned chili festival.
Well,
Stag chili?
you sound like the fan base of a chili-based baseball team. Stagnation. Everyone out here in Stagnation knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
People holding chili cans, just waving giant foam beans around.
Yeah. The salespeople walking up and down sell just like bowls of chili.
Honestly, I love that Stagnation. I'm way in. And if they had a Sire, imagine there's just like some guy who's like just who just like introduces you to everything and like gets you set up. He's there to help you with the transition. Sire of Stagnation's ability gets used less than the one on Sengir Vampire. Burn.
Yeah. Sire of Stagnation. I like that you have devoid. Let me just make sure my deck is devoid of your card.
Huge. Honestly, I think Sire of Stagnation is terrible. It draws less cards than Boros.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, all right. Huge rip on Sire.
We're not going to top that one. You draw less cards than Boros.
Oh, man. In the 2 best card draw colors, and it totally sucks and never draws you any cards.
Oh, you draw less cards than Boros. Burn.
Huge burn. So Sire of Stagnation, suck it all day long. You stink. We don't want to talk about you anymore.
Great. We're having a great time with these roasts. If you have your roasts of Sire of Stagnation, please tweet them at us, your roast jokes. And if you got good suggestions for future roast cards that you want to see taken to the coals, give us those tweets also.
That's right. Yeah. Hit us up. We're at Commanders Brew on Twitter. Okay, cool. Well, let's get into the main topic here. Let's talk about Zur the Enchanter.
Right. We were going to say why most people are frustrated with Zur decks so here's what he does. Zur the Enchanter, 1 and Esper. So 1 white, blue, black. Legendary human wizard. Flying, 1/4. Whenever Zur the Enchanter attacks, you may search your library for an enchantment card with converted mana cost 3 or less, put it onto the battlefield. If you do, shuffle your library. So you're going to notice a comparison with Yeleva. Yeleva only gets a selection of some spells to cast. Zur can tutor for anything he wants in the whole deck. So the first thing you do is going to be some sort of hex-proof, invincible, untouchable kind of thing. And the next thing you're going to do is just Voltron him up until no one can touch him, and he's just going to kill everyone one by one. It tends to be pretty degenerate and no fun.
Yep, that's very true. And as we discussed in our No Fun episode, my deck in that episode was a Bruna deck that was very much aura-based, and I was having no fun with it because it was the same thing every time. You would get the same auras out every time, and Zur is that to the nth degree and more powerful, right? So it creates a very linear and unvaried gameplay when you have this guy as your commander. A lot if you build the deck that way. Now, of course, if that's what you want, if you want a streamlined, hyper, efficient, kill 'em all type deck, I mean, hey, that's great. That's great. Then this guy is going to be very good for you. What we're going to do here today, though, is we're going to tell you about some other ways to build them so that you can kind of relieve, it's a fun commander. Look, he's built for commander, this guy, right? He's amazing. So let's try and do it where it's in such a way that it's not going to be boring to play every time. And maybe the other people at your table, whether it's strangers or your friends, and you don't want to provide them with the same sort of monotonous style of game, then maybe we can get something that's a bit more varied and therefore maybe have a bit more fun with it. So
yeah. And you might have opened one up in your Modern Masters 3 draft.
Exactly. That actually happened to me. So I was like, oh, I would like to build a Zur deck, but I don't want it to be that one. So let's see what we can do with it, right?
Great. So what theme are we doing then? What are we going to do with the deck that is different?
That's right. So what we're going to do is we're going to build it a little bit more towards using the graveyard and sort of a reanimator for enchantments.
Yeah, right? So
Yeah.
he obviously searches up enchantments. Obviously, that's his thing. Mm-hmm. So we're going to make sure that we grab enchantments that help us get an engine going, an engine of more enchantments, getting stuff in the graveyard, returning enchantments from the graveyard. This also protects us from, people who want to destroy our creatures / enchantments. So we can get a pretty robust engine going.
Yes. So why don't you get into the first one or two cards here?
Yeah, sure. So we're working on building an engine with Zur. So I'm thinking that one of the first things we're going to grab is an early sort of card draw engine. And one of the best budget card draw is Underworld Connections. I'll read that for you. It's a 1 black for an enchantment aura. Enchant land. Enchanted land has tap, pay 1 life, draw a card. Great. We're going to pay a life. We're going to draw cards. So from very early on, so from turn 5 on or less, if we get a signet or something to ramp us, we're going to be drawing 2 cards per turn at the price of a life. But we're not too worried about that because we're going to be doing way more damage than that, hopefully.
Yeah. So obviously you want to get things rolling by drawing more cards and that sort of thing. Another early get with Zur, and this is true for those aura decks too. We didn't mark it down here. I'm going to do this. I'm pulling a bit of an audible here.
Sure.
What's the blue white one or the one blue one again? I can't remember. I don't have the list in front of me.
Oh yeah, Steel of the Godhead.
Oh yeah, that's it. Okay. So you probably recognize this from every blue white aura deck ever. But Steel of the Godhead is 2, and then it's a hybrid Azorius for an aura that says as long as the enchanted creature is white, it gets +1/+1, has lifelink. If it's blue, it gets +1/+1 and is unblockable. Zur has flying, so it kind of comes with this built-in evasion that allows it to pretty much attack, the next turn after it's come down most times. But obviously, at some point, someone's going to put something up to block you, and you're going to want this sort of thing, being able to get it through, and the next turn you can get, if you have something that's hexproof or whatever, you can try for that. But I think getting them unblockable and then and getting some card draw, I think those are the first 2 things you want to do with our version. We want to draw things and get the engine out as soon as you can.
I'm actually gonna. I'm gonna So we've kind of brewed this deck together. So there's gonna be a little taste differences. I personally wouldn't go for Steel of the Godhead because I think that gets us closer to the degenerate style of it. Just slap it on enchantments. So I would rather. I think we have some more clever ways to protect Zur from not being able to do what he does.
I said protection. I guess I shouldn't have said protection. It's more about enabling the engine because Zur's a part of the engine.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I just mean protection, because we actually don't need to get him through. I don't think we need him to attack. So, for example, we're gonna tutor up Reconnaissance with him. It's a 1 white enchantment, and you can just pay 0 and remove target attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. At this point, Zur is already attacked, so we don't care if he gets through or not because we've got our Reconnaissance in case something comes up, in case we aren't able to get through.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Reconnaissance is another one that's just amazing at it. You lose out on the actually hitting the player as that added bonus too, right? Though you don't gain life. Anyways, listen.
Sure.
you're right though, right? Like the thing is we haven't included very many auras in this deck because we didn't want it to do that, but there are some in there because they're still helpful for the strategy.
Yeah.
So like, trust me, I'm not just gonna say I don't want any auras. Anyways, go search up these 6 auras when you first get them out. Like,
Yeah.
it kind of sound like that. Okay, so after reconnaissance, you get any any enchantment that's 3 or less, and there's a whole stack of enchantments that are sort of like banishing light, right? 2 and a white.
Yeah.
The enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, exit target non-land permanent. That's why this is one of the better ones. An opponent controls until banishing light leaves the battlefield. You've got Oblivion Rings, a bunch of other ones. But this is something that will get a potential blocker out of your way or a potential anything that's causing you problems, right?
If there's some sort of enchantment that's gonna hurt after you're done attacking, if you do combat damage or something, you can get rid of that as well.
Yeah, it basically lets you handle just about anything.
Yeah, and if somehow those are all destroyed, like Zur can't tutor for this one, but if once you get to 5 mana, if you're able to cast Whitewater Naiads, 3 blue for an enchantment creature nymph, it's a 4/4, but it's got Constellation. Whenever Whitewater Naiads or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So we've got the Naiads out, and no matter what Zur searches up and goes into the battlefield, we can make it give Zur the unblockable trait from the Naiads. And there you go. Once again, he's safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Zur will have no problem attacking without fear in this deck.
Yes. So it's a good thing you mentioned Whitewater Naiads, because these enchantment creatures and the Constellation ability are something that's very good. I cannot wait basically for them to make more of this.
I hope they do. Constellation is so good.
It's a super fun ability, and we use it like whenever you build an enchantment based deck in Commander. It's one of the first abilities I think of because it's so good. So it would just be fun to have more variety of stuff to use. So Whitewater Naiads in this deck is perfect. This one you're going to see in pretty much every deck that wants Constellations. Doomwake Giant. It's 4 and a black for the 4/6 with whenever Doomwake Giant or another enchantment enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn. It's not impossible for you to have Doomwake Giant out. You attack with Zur, you get some other enchantment, and then you might even be able to play 1 or 2 others from your hand or something like that, or get them back from the graveyard in this deck, and like sort of repeatedly give your opponent's creatures -3/-3 or something like that, which makes it very difficult for them to keep any of their utility creatures on board. And obviously, if you got someone with a token strategy, it's just like next to impossible for them to make that work with, as long as
Doomwake tokens.
Out. Yeah, Doomwake Giant is gonna be a big hated on creature in this deck, but it's because it's so good.
Yeah. Let's keep the Constellation train rolling while we're on here. Another Constellation creature that is above 3. So, like, Zur could tutor up enchantment creatures, but only if they're 3 or less.
Yeah.
This one's outside of that window, but it's Thoughrender Lamia, 4 black for a Lamia. She's 5/3, and the Constellation trigger says, whenever Thoughrender Lamia or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent discards a card. So, like, once you drop Lamia, like on your first main phase, you cast this, and then you attack with Zur, drop any enchantment, everyone discards a card. And if you have another enchantment you can cast after that, it's just brutal.
This card is savage.
Savage is a great word for it.
I have a what's his name? Daxos. The Return.
New Daxos?
Yeah,
the
New
Return.
Daxos, right? I've got a Daxos deck that's basically enchantment and recursion type stuff. Thoughrender Lamia is an absolute house in that deck. However, it has never... I think I've maybe been able to do its thing once while playing.
Because people deal with it.
People just are like so afraid of it, and they're right to be afraid of it. This will just tear everyone's... Like, this is basically, just everyone's going to discard their whole hand if it lasts for a turn, right? It's going to make them discard like 2 or 3 cards per turn almost.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's not
I don't wanna.
Yeah.
No.
But it's a big mean card. The only downside I'd say of this card is that it's like 6 mana. So it's tough to
pricey,
play this on curve and then do something else,
Yeah.
But you would play this out and then attack with Zur, and then everyone has to discard a card. It's not bad. And it's a 5/3, so it kind of gets blocked by smaller things when you kind of wouldn't want it to, if you wanted to attack with it. But this definitely is a card that just sits back and does damage to people's hands until you're ready to,
awesome,
get the final blow in. There are some other creatures in the deck that are under 3. We have the one that
gives your whole team first strike.
Yeah, we got
He costs 3.
That's Archetype of Courage.
Yeah, and there's a couple coming up. There's one that's gonna make it on our like a 3 stars, I think. So we'll definitely hit more. Yeah.
Great. Okay. After Thought Render Lamia, so we're talking about recursion. There's a lot of enchantment recursion in these colors, of course.
Yeah, like people are gonna kill like we said, people want to kill your Thought Render Lamia. People don't want to see it down on the board. Your Doomwake Giant scares people. They're gonna get killed.
Exactly. So let's add some recursion for creatures. That is enchantment based, and of course, number one probably comes to mind. There's an Animate Dead classic, 1 in a black. It's an aura. Enchant creature card in a graveyard. So it has to do that. And it has the library of text, which is when Animated Dead enters the battlefield, if it's on the battlefield, it loses enchant creature in a graveyard and gains enchant creature put onto the battle. Blah blah blah. Anyways, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's utterly too confusing. Basically, when it comes into play, you bring something back, and then Animate Dead is on that, and that's what's keeping it on the battlefield. And then enchanted creature gets -1/-0.
What a simple card idea. When Magic was new, they're like, yeah, let's make this card. But because of the way the rules are now, it is such a complicated way to write it out.
It's too much.
It's such a simple idea. Guy comes out of the graveyard. This is what's keeping him alive. If this thing dies, guy goes back to graveyard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the big downside, I guess, of Animate Dead is that if they have enchantment destruction, they can kill that creature again because when Animate Dead is destroyed, you have to sacrifice the creature it was on. Yeah, that probably doesn't come up very much. I mean, if you enchanted your indestructible Avacyn or something, then you've got a loophole there. But in this deck, it's not really going to be a problem. They would just probably kill the creature anyways. But it's a great one. There's another one too.
Yeah, so if they manage to kill that Animate Dead, the next time I attack with Zur, I'm going to go get Necromancy. 2 in a black. Enchantment. You may cast Necromancy as though it had flash, although we're doing it in combat anyway. If you...
So,
right.
Yeah, it's another
so confusing,
wall of text.
Yeah.
That's you can play this as an instant, but then you have to kill the creature at the end if you did that at the end of turn.
Right.
The next cleanup step. But otherwise, since we're not actually casting it with Zur when he attacks, it's actually just coming into the battlefield. If it's on it says it's basically the same text as Animate Dead.
Yes, let's just leave it at that. It's
exactly.
Another Animate Dead way to do with Zur. It costs 1 more, but it's functionally the same. We have other ways of just bringing enchantments back. So as you can see, we're building up a pretty robust recursion engine here.
Mm-hmm. This side note, this card, Necromancy, definitely goes in the Screaming Bald Guy deck, right?
Yes.
Which we have not built yet.
No, Screaming Bald deck. A lot of cards that say discard 2 cards or mind wipe, like it's just a bald guy screaming.
Screaming Bald Guy deck is a discard and recursion deck, I think, because it's a lot of black cards that make discard. Yeah, so Necromancy, we got to keep that in mind. One day we will do that deck. Okay. So and just to add into the recursion as far as creatures go, one of my favorites and one that is very, very easily searchable up with Zur, of course, is Fireshade Reclamation. It's 1 black for an enchantment that says pay 1 in a black, then pay 2 life, and you can return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. I don't know if I'd say I put this in every black deck, but I put it in a lot of them because it's so good. It's like Gravedigger, that you get to keep doing at a very low cost, right? 1 in a black, and then 2 life. I mean, in Commander, that's next to nothing. And even if you only did this, it certainly does add up. But even if you only manage to do this 2-3 times, that's still pretty good for 1 card. and a couple.
Well, can I call
alive,
one
right?
quick audible as well?
Of course,
I'm
yeah.
realizing because we've got Underworld Connections and Phyrexian Reclamation. You may notice we're like losing a lot of life or paying a lot of life, but what about Underworld Coinsmith?
Oh yeah.
He's in this deck. Another constellation creature that Zur can go get. White-black, human cleric, 2/2. Constellation. Whenever Underworld Coinsmith or another enchantment enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. And you can also pay life through the Coinsmith. Black-white, pay 1 life. Each opponent loses 1 life. So, I mean, we're paying life a lot of different ways, but here's one way we can shore up some of that bleeding life that we're going to be spending.
Yeah, Coinsmith. Nice little bonus. Nice little card to have around. Certainly. Okay, so we've got tons of enchantments, and there's like a real list of Zur enchantments that you can get. Like we kind of went into it a bit. Animate Dead, Necromanciers are some of the better ones. There's a couple creatures in there, but there's also some artifacts that really help out. And one of the ones that helps out in an enchantment deck does like overtime, especially in this one, is Helm of the Gods.
Wow.
It's one generic mana to cast and 1 generic mana to equip. So as far as equip costs go, it doesn't get much cheaper than that. Like there are some 0 cost equipments and there are some 0 cost to equip, but really this is very, very good. And the thing is equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control.
That's huge.
It's so huge, right? And we talked about this not really being about commander damage or like, it's not about a Voltron Zur thing, but this card is just so strong that you can't really deny that this is good on anyone. This is good on any creature in your deck. Is it Zur?
Yeah,
Sure, maybe it's Zur sometimes, but also maybe sometimes it's your Thought Render Lamia and you just swing in, right? Like,
yeah, that's the thing, right? That's why I like it. 'Cause it seems fair because it's not just about getting it on Zur and doing 21 in a turn and a half. Like, it's like, yeah, like the deck's engine is rolling. This is a powerful, powerful tool no matter who's wearing it.
Exactly. And we, like I said, like if you've got Steal the Godhead, if you've got if you've got one or the 1 or 2 auras that let something be unblockable, then Helm of the Gods is gonna get in if you have them at the same time.
Yeah.
What else? We got more. We talked about creature recursion. Let's get into a little bit of enchantment recursion here.
Yeah. So you're right. Well, like it's great to recur creatures, but also a lot of our enchantments want to get destroyed too. How about Treasury Thrall? Treasury Thrall, 4 white, black, and it's got extort. There's another way we're gonna get life back by cashing in that extort. But anyway, nice. It's a 4/4. Whenever Treasury Thrall attacks, you may return target artifact, creature, or enchantment from your graveyard to your hand. Awesome.
Wicked card. Never. I will say this: it never seems to do quite as much work as I hope it would, because in order to get it to do its thing, you need to attack with it, and a 4/4 in Commander isn't always enough to get it through. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, but once we've got Reconnaissance, don't matter.
Exactly. Reconnaissance, huge card. I also got to bring this up. I've been thinking about this a while, and I think it's time we breach the subject.
Okay.
What the hell is a thrall?
Huh.
Look at this thing. It's like a weird, like elephant, like rhinoceros, like hippo thing. But then some thralls are these little like like these little guys. Like,
yeah.
What's the story on thralls?
That's a great question. What's the story on thralls?
Yeah, right? Like, is a thrall some kind of thing that, like, exists in other fiction also? Or is it... Okay, well, you know what I mean? Like, can someone tell us what a thrall is? Sean, What do you think a thrall is? When you hear the word thrall, what do you think?
I always assumed... I guess the word thrall reminds me of, like I guess this Treasury Thrall is wrong, but I imagine them to be kind of pointy, like
yeah,
like they're like I imagine them to be in like the black part of the color pie because that's what cards use them.
Mm-hmm.
Like little like do you remember that old web cartoon Salad Fingers?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I imagine thralls are kind of like him.
Ah, okay. I have an answer. Because in the time it took for you to tell that fun little take on thralls, I actually found a very concise explanation as to what thralls
Hit me
are.
up.
Okay, so, get get this. Okay, so you guys know Endrick Sar. I'll bring it up here.
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
watching the
He
YouTube
makes,
video,
yeah.
you can see the card. But Endrick Sar, Master Breeder. He's the 4 and a black. He's a 2/2. That whenever you cast a creature spell, put X 1/1 black thrall creatures out, right? And if you have 7 or more, you have to sacrifice Endrick Sar. So in that art on the card, the thralls are these little like, I don't know, like
Ooh.
what would you call those things? So like kind
Little,
of
like,
zombie looking
naked mole people.
Yeah, like naked mole dudes. So apparently he created thralls.
Oh.
And they were meant to be used as a weapon and a servile race to him and I guess his people or whatever. He stole the tech and methods from Phyrexia, something that when they learned of it, this is from user Baronellos on mtgsalvation.com's forums. Anyways, they learned it took very poorly and ended up torturing Endrick Sar to death. So they killed him. And what thralls are is that they're melted down flesh into an ooze and then reanimated it.
Oh, like factory zombies.
Yeah, and like with additional instructions as to what forms they will take. So,
so
you
treasury
can
soul had to be a big
yeah.
old big fat one to carry treasure.
So like those forms are substantially influenced by what went into the mix. So if you dumped, so this is again the user Baronellos on MTG Salvation. If you dumped lizard flesh and cow flesh in there, the resultant thrall would very likely have features of both mixed somewhere in there.
Cool.
Oh, okay. So that's why they look all weird and distorted, because they're like, he said like general thralls are like, there's lots of different types of flesh in there, but they're probably mostly humans.
Yeah, okay.
Interesting. Guys, sorry, I just had to break in there because I've always wondered what thralls are and why they're so different, you know? Like there's so many different looking thralls throughout Magic's like artwork and stuff. So
I'm glad we covered that.
a little bit of a flavor, a little bit of a Vorthos tangent there, but I felt like it was important. Okay.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, cool. All right, let's get back to business here.
Okay.
All right, so you just read
yeah.
Treasury Thrall. Okay, great.
Right.
Treasury Thrall, yeah. It's a wicked card, and if you can get ways to make it attack, it's even better. Okay. So then here we got, this one's huge. Silent Sentinel. 5 and 2 white for a flying 4/6 Archon. Whenever Silent Sentinel attacks, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Straight into play.
This is a great one to reanimate if you can get it working, right? To get this
now
guy
just
early.
Imagine you've got a constellation creature out, and this and Zur are attacking. They both throw an enchantment on the battlefield. That's nuts.
That's nuts, yeah. That is.
Are we good? We've had this discussion before. Should we talk about what an Archon is?
Oh, yeah, right? Is the Archon the Archon
or
the Archon the
guy
rider?
lion combo?
I wasn't able to do quick research into what an Archon is last time we did this.
Or is it a weird old computer chess game?
Do you think? Oh wait, is that Archon? That's oh wait, no, I'm thinking of Archanoid. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, wow, Archon's a real thing. It means ruler in ancient Greek.
Yeah, but that's not what this is.
No, I know. But I think that means it's the person.
I don't know, man. Let's not get into this again.
It serves a justice higher than the whims of the gods. That's the flavor text on Silent Sentinel. It's
2 creatures, though.
That's true.
It's 2. It's the guy and the lion that he's riding.
Yeah. The combo. See, I originally thought it was just the creature. Now I'm thinking it's just the person, but I think you might be right. I think it's the combo.
Like a horse soldier.
But like, see, why would you dump them together like that? Like,
I don't know.
Anyways, hey man, you brought it up.
I know.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're getting real caught up in what creatures are what this week.
Sure. So generally speaking, that's sort of like some of the featured cards we wanted to go over. That's sort of how the deck is going to run and how it's going to do its thing. As you can see, we're fine with getting a bunch of stuff killed or destroyed. We'll just bring it back. We're going to keep coming at you with Zur, but not in that annoying, just can't touch me and you're dead kind of way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. The whole time you were saying that, I was reading about what Archons are.
Okay, what are Archons?
Well, I can't get like a real solid definition, but I think it's just the person, because it goes Archons have no faces. They have their eyes covered. They're impersonal and different. They're above and beyond mortal creatures. So like, I think they're the guys riding them.
But then how come you never see an Archon standing around? Like, how come there's no card that's just an Archon just, having a break? Who's like maybe a 2/2.
Archon on a break. Smoke break Archon. Like,
Archon of the fumes.
Archon of the backdoor fumes. It's on a smoke break out back. Hey, where's Archon of Justice? Oh, he's having a dart out back out in the alley.
Yeah.
We're swamped in here. Go get Archon of Justice. Our silent sentinel. He's got to come in here and help us out. What's the big the black and white Archon that when it enters the battlefield it exiles something, when it leaves it exiles something?
Yep.
Right?
I don't remember the name. Yes.
Oh man.
Looking it up.
Oh, it's like anyways, because that one, okay, because I need to check that one, because if that one has a face, because I always think that one's just a dude going like, "Aah!" Like if that guy has a face, then I think I'm back to not knowing what an Archon is.
Well, I looked up Archon. Look up Blazing Archon.
Does he have a face and screaming?
I'll let you discover it. Our Blazing Archon has a face, but is blindfolded.
Oh, he's blindfolded.
And is also on a lion.
He's right. So this person writing in this forum, same thing, mtgsalvation.com, is saying that Archons their whole thing is that they don't have eyes. Their eyes are covered.
Okay, but now look up Cabal Archon.
Okay, Cabal Archon. What? Okay, that's not an Archon. That's not an Archon, though.
There's no lion there.
No, because that's a cleric, and
right.
That's the ancient Greek meaning of Archon as opposed to the magic version.
Creature type is not Archon. Yeah, that's my bad.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wait. Type Archon. That's what you have to look up, right?
Yeah, that's what I've done now. Oh, Ashen Rider.
Ashen Rider. Exactly. That's it. Okay. Let's quickly look up Ashen Rider. Oh, see, it's so small. I can't even see anything. Oh, he doesn't. No, he doesn't have a face.
Also, I'm looking up Ornitharch, or instead of a lion, it's on a floating chariot, which is pretty cool.
Is it an Archon?
Yeah, it's an Archon creature type, but Ornitharch looks like she has just white eyes. Like this.
Okay. Well, we're no closer to solving the... Well, I would say that if this is an Archon and it's not even on one of those cat beast things, that the Archon is the person, for sure. This is confirming it.
Yeah, we got Archons riding Pegasi, riding lions, riding jaguars, riding some weird goat thing.
Yeah, so it's the dude or lady or whatever, the person, the thing, the
But they are
rider,
flying.
as opposed to the... Yeah, okay, yes, they are, yeah.
Oh boy,
they are flying. So it's. Oh, I see. So you're saying because we should roast the type Archon. so you're saying because it's flying, it is the combination of the things.
Yeah, like a lancer,
that,
like
yes.
a horse soldier, right?
That makes sense.
When he's on foot, he's a knight. When there's just a horse, it's just a horse. But together, they're like a lancer.
Okay, but okay, we're getting so deep here. Okay, what about the horsemanship though? Like Lu Xun, what's his name? Is that his name?
Yep.
Lu Xun. Am I making that up? I am making that up. That's not what it's called.
No.
Anyways, whatever. That guy, he has horsemanship, but that's not talking about his horse also, right? It's just him.
Right. Right.
But also his creature type doesn't say like some weird thing. It's just human. It makes it clear.
The horsemanship includes the horse.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, if you have thoughts on what an Archon is or anything, I'm leaning now towards it is the combination. Man, I'm all over the place on this. I can't decide. We're definitely roasting Archons next week, though.
Yeah, man.
Hey, Archons.
Watch out, Archons.
Figure out what you are. Okay.
Let's move on to the 3 stars.
Let's move on to the 3 stars of this deck.
Sure. So, The third star I want to highlight is a constellation creature that costs 5, so it's not tutorable by Zur, but it's Thassa's Devourer. 4 and a blue, enchantment creature elemental, 2/6. Constellation, blah, blah, blah. You get to do this every time an enchantment comes out. Target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. We're going to pick ourselves. So now every time we're casting enchantments, every time we're tutoring enchantments, every time an enchantment pops up, we're getting more cards in the graveyard, which are more targets for Animate Dead, which are more things to recur back with other creatures and spells. Treasury Thrall gets better. Silent Sentinel gets better. This card's great.
Yeah, you want a nice full graveyard, and this is one of the best ways to do it with our deck. It synergizes so well. It triggers other constellations as well, right? Like, it does everything you want it to do. It gets pulled back by all of our recursion spells, all of them, the creature ones and the enchantment ones. It's fantastic. Next, number 2 star is the card that you would hopefully play after you've used Thassa's Devourer's abilities a few times. You get Crystal Chimes out there. It's 3 generic for an artifact that says pay 3 generic, tap it, sacrifice Crystal Chimes, return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to your hand. You just get them all.
Wow.
You just get them all.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very good. It's solid. This is definitely the deck built to use Crystal Chimes the best. This one, of course, was included in that Daxos precon. Which is like a lot of great cards for that deck are in this deck, and this is no exception.
Right. And Crystal Chimes has the special extra ability of protecting your graveyard if people try to remove it, right? You just hold up some mana. So if anyone tries anything funny and tries to exile your graveyard, in response, you tap and sack Crystal Chimes, pay the 3 mana, and then everything comes back that you care about.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. That's a very good point. It does double as it's both things. It's really good.
Yeah.
And what's the number 1 star here?
Number 1 star of the deck from Magic Origins, Starfield of Nyx. 4 and a white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Ooh. That's just more Zur, basically.
It's already so good.
As long as you control 5 or more enchantments, each other non-aura enchantment you control is a creature in addition to its other types and has base power and toughness equal to the power converted mana cost. So we have a lot of non-aura enchantments, and they're all going to become creatures. We can cast this and possibly just swarm in for a huge kill. And if not, we're just going to keep getting enchantments back every upkeep. So we're getting 1 from this, 1 from Zur, 1 from Silent Sentinel, for example. You can see why we want a full graveyard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is... I'm still like... Starfield of Nyx, it's great in this deck, again, just from that first thing. The secondary ability where it turns all your enchantments into creatures can be viewed as a bit of a downside, right? Like, you can remove creatures easier. Any board wipe now kills all of your enchantments.
True.
But it's actually...
But it won't kill Starfield of Nyx.
Right, because it's other, right?
Yeah, so then you're just going to keep bringing them back during your next upkeep. They're not going to stay gone for long.
Exactly. So what I was going to say is that, like, I've kind of been looking for the deck that wants this card, and I think this is it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think this is the one. It turns out to be really good, actually, to out of nowhere drop this, and then, like, oh my god, all of your like, I thought you had no creatures. No, actually I have like 6 creatures because I've got these like enchantments that you weren't super worried about, a second ago, but now they're all creatures.
Yeah.
We do have one anthem, 1 or 2 anthems, I think. That actually works really well with this card too. So
right.
If you wanted to kind of lean a little bit more towards using the Starfield of Nyx ability, you could kind of include 1 or 2 more of those. Like I said, we went more towards the recursion. But anyways, this card is awesome. Awesome in this deck. I think this is the one that really utilizes it, and you really want it in there. So it's really fun.
The only thing you got to be careful about with this is if you've just got something super juicy under like an Oblivion Ring that makes it easy to get that back. That would be the only time I would think for half a second whether or not I wouldn't slam this on the battlefield.
Yeah, exactly. But then you could also make the argument that Oblivion Ring is probably just going to come back next turn, though, right? So
That's true, and I'll get the thing back. Yeah, no, you're right. You talked me out of it. No more thinking.
No more
slamming.
Yeah, so they have to deal with it twice, essentially, or at least, right? Or they have to deal with this and that. So, yeah. It's a bit of a nightmare for your opponents. I'll say that much. Okay, cool. Yeah, those are the 3 stars. Yeah, Starfield Nix. I'm glad that we kind of finally found a home for this card. It's such a neat, big, fun ability that you'd think would be used a lot in Commander. So that's cool.
Yeah. So we had one interesting surprise and discovery. Why don't you cover that one, Andy?
Okay, cool. This is a card that you added, and you said you've used this a lot, and I think it's a really neat card.
Yeah.
It's called Trade Routes. It's 1 and a blue. It's an enchantment. You can search this up with Zur. And it has 2 abilities. One is you pay 1 generic, return target land you control to its owner's hand. And then the next is pay 1 generic, discard a land card, draw a card. So basically what this does is it gives all of your lands in your hand cycling for 1.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, just a very useful ability, period, because how many times have you been playing Commander and you start to draw lands off the top of your deck when it's late game and you need gas? Like this kind of is protection against that. It protects against flooding.
Yeah, and any deck that wants to draw a lot of cards, all too often you find yourself, oh great, I've drawn 6 cards last turn and a few cards this turn. I've got 8 spells and a ton of lands. It's like, well, turn them into other cards.
Exactly. Yeah, and even if you have previously flooded out and you draw this, it's like, what happens if that happens? Well, that's the great thing about Trade Routes is you actually get to pop those lands back up and turn them into the next card off the top of your deck, which
if you really need to,
right? Like it's not like this. It's not some ideal, amazing thing, but like it is something, right? Like
super useful. And I think, how many lands do you have that have little incidental enter the battlefield abilities, right? If you're not doing anything with the mana or the lands, like why not just pop a Bojuka Bob back up and down and kill another graveyard?
That's true. That's very good. So yeah, I think this card is really, really, really cool. What was I going to say? Oh, also I can't remember. I was going to say something else. I totally can't remember now.
If that guy was screaming, it could make the bald guy screaming deck, but
That's
he is
true.
not. He is working on a map.
He is working on a map. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways,
I found a great
Trade Routes.
bald
Consider
guy
it, right?
screaming.
Oh, you did? Which one?
Yeah, look up Brain Spoil.
Okay, I can tell by the name that it's Bald Guy Screaming, for sure. Brain Spoil. Here it is. Whoa! Yeah, this is one of the main Bald Guy Screaming cards, for sure. I've seen this. Yeah, this is great. Listen, everyone listening, like, we will make the Bald Guy Screaming deck. It's definitely going to happen, and know for sure that Brain Spoil is going into it.
Yeah, and they're often holding the sides of their head.
Oh yeah, or someone else is holding, like someone else has their hand on his head and he's like,
yeah.
yeah. It's someone's hand is on their head usually, or at least in the vicinity of their head.
It's like the magic artists just collectively don't like to do hair, so they're just like, I'll just do a screaming guy.
Yeah, we'll just pick the screaming guy. It's fine. I wonder how many Mind Rot cards have a screaming bald guy on it.
You know what? I did a search. That was the inspiration for this theme. But so many different Mind Rots have little different names, but they usually have a similar picture of a dude holding his head and
so this Mind Rot one, this is like a classic one. It has a guy's head exploding. And it looks like he was bald before his top of his head exploded.
Great.
This one's great. So the Dragons of Tarkir one has like a Jinn who is bald and who is screaming. So it's not only humans that are bald guys screaming, right? I love it.
Bald Jinn screaming.
This is the same. Wait, there's one more. I think there's a good one. Oh yeah, the Return to Ravnica one. The Return to Ravnica one. Okay. Given the bald,
that one's so gross.
It's not a bald guy screaming, but it's a bald guy with his head, like, I don't know, the top of it looks like
this card makes me uncomfortable.
Pumpkin or something.
This is disgusting. That card is so gross.
Black magic.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways.
Oh.
Okay, so that's our surprises and discoveries and our talk of the bald guy deck. Let's talk real quickly here about Wizard's Tower.
Yeah.
Again.
We are on the cusp of being able to. I mean, you can pre-order Amonkhet cards that have already been spoiled.
Oh wow.
They're not all spoiled yet, so like there's still some to look for. But like you can put an order in, and they'll ship that out to you as soon as they're allowed to by Wizards.
Yeah, and of course,
I believe Friday.
Yeah, and of course they have an awesome thing going on right now for I think it's in Canada only. But if you can order boxes of Modern Masters and Eternal Masters with free shipping at like a pretty good discounted cost. So go check it out.
That's huge.
Yeah, go check out wizardtower.com. It's a limited, it's not on for like ever, but if you go check it out right now, they have like a sale on those two, the latest Modern Masters and Eternal Masters.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, what else? Oh yeah, use Tower of Brews if you're ordering singles, right? And you'll get 5% off, $15 or more. Of course, they got free shipping in US and in Canada. 15 or more or $10 or more. Cool. Oh yeah, and go to mtgcanada.com too. That's their content site, and Sean and I have been writing articles there. Sean's continuing on with his partner series.
Yeah, super fun. I just tackled the Golgari partners. I did Ikra Shadiki.
Oh, nice.
So 3 partners left to go, and then I'll have 10 half decks for every partner of a guild. And the idea is you just mash any 2 lists together, and you've got a playable deck. It should be fun. Like you could like mash them all together randomly, or maybe draft the lists or something and see what you're playing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, check it out. But now it is time for the classic budget report.
We are going to see which of the cards, upon attacking, reach into your pocket and tutor up money and throw it away.
Sorry, what?
The cards that tutor up money and throw it away.
Why would they throw away money?
Onto the battlefield, which is the sewer in real life.
Oh, it's a bit of a reach.
Well, isn't that what we say, like, the floor of a Magic card is?
The floor of the Magic card. The absolute floor of any card.
Yeah.
Is just finding it on the street and not knowing what Magic is.
Yes, that is the absolute floor of every card ever printed.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, that's true. But why would I want someone to do that? You know what I mean?
Best case scenario of Lightning Bolt, 3 damage that kills your opponent, right? Wins you the game.
Yes.
Worst case of Lightning Bolt, you find it in a field under some mud, and you don't know what magic is.
It makes me laugh every time. Just picture a guy seeing like a glint of color under this in like a pile of mud and just being like, "What's that?" And he picks it up and he's just like, "What is this?" Still no idea.
Bolt.
No clue what it is. Lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Anyways,
well, let's give you the budget report. What this deck costs. This deck, as is, costs $48.90, which is under our limit of $50. But the most expensive card is a little above our budget $5 cap, but it is worth every penny. Andy, why don't you take it?
Thassa, God of the Sea. It's 2 and a blue, so it's only 3 mana, so it is tutorable with Zur. It's the legendary god. It's indestructible. It's a 5/5. It has the devotion text, so 5 or more, it becomes a creature. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you scry 1, and then also 1 and a blue. Target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Yep.
Very nice.
Great card. No denying it. Awesome. It's about $6 right now. We made room for it in this deck because we know how good it is, and I think you should probably do the same thing, right? Like if you're making this deck, Thassa's great. What's next?
Second most expensive card, Sun Titan.
This one has been showing up a lot lately.
Yeah, right. It's 4 white, vigilance, right? 6/6. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you can return a permanent with cost 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. In this deck in particular, since so many of our enchantments are 3 or less, it's a great buddy for Zur.
Yeah. And,
it's $3,
yeah.
But for sure, keep it.
So, like, I know that like this card has come up a lot lately. This card has come up a lot in the budget report specifically, And like obviously, I think if you're a listener of the show or just a Magic player in general at EDH, you know Sun Titan's good, and you know that we're going to include it and stuff. But that's the why I like it showing up in the budget report. It kind of shows you that this card is worth keeping in your deck almost every time, and it's climbing up in price, right?
Yeah.
So like every week, it's kind of like a warning that like even though Sun Titan keeps getting reprinted, it's still climbing over $3. It continues its climb up, right? So, I mean, if you
it's
haven't
so
had
good.
yeah, just a warning, right? So it just kind of serves that way. And finally, our third most expensive card is Starfield and Nyx. It's about $250, and that's the one we talked about earlier. Of course, what we consider to be the number one star of the deck. So, of course, I would highly suggest you don't cut this one. This one is a lot of fun. I'd cut Thassa over this for sure.
Yeah, if you had to cut one,
exactly.
Probably.
If I had to cut any of the ones of these three, the three most expensive, I'd probably cut Thassa.
Yeah, because Thassa is fantastic, scrying every turn, making creatures unblockable like Zur. That's great too. But like I said, the great thing about Zur is since you have access to almost your entire deck, you don't need a ton of redundancies. You only need like 2 or 3 ways to make Zur unblockable or protected or whatever, and that's it. You're golden. You can just use those card slots for other things, for other creatures that are going to do damage, other constellation creatures, just general support enchantments that destroy artifacts and enchantments, all kinds of good stuff.
So on our way out here, one thing I'll quickly say about Zur is that, so we talked about the reason why this card kind of gets a little bit of hate. It's because it creates a streamlined kind of the same type of play every time, right? Because you're allowed to tutor, so you're going to go get your most powerful thing, blah, blah, blah. So something that like I would suggest to players, and I try to do this as much as I can, when you're starting off with this deck, like maybe tutor something interesting. Like tutor a card that you haven't seen. Like if you play the Zur deck a couple times, you know what you like to get, and you know the order you like to get it in and all that. Maybe just go outside of that, right? Go outside of that and be like, well, I haven't seen, getting, whatever, Fire Exchange and Reclamation first and getting my creature recursion going early. Like maybe, so when you have a lot of tutors or when you have a commander that tutors, like that's, like this kind of, the variance is kind of up to you. So if that's something you crave, if that's something you value, but you still want to play something like Zur, or you still want to play something that tutors, put that on yourself, put the variance on yourself, and you can see how much fun you have with that. I know that's something that I did with an old deck I had where I had originally put a lot of tutors in. I would eventually just start changing it up and being like, well, I know I should get Eternal Witness here, but instead I'm going to get this other like kind of off the wall creature and see how it affects the game, right? And I mean, sometimes you're just losing and you just got to get the one thing, right? Like that just happens.
Right.
Or sometimes somebody does something to you and you get so mad. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to tutor something for you. Like, that's fine. That's cool. But yeah, when the pressure's not on, it's fun to add your own level of variance and test out the rest of your deck. I'd suggest it. I think it's fun.
That's good advice. Yeah, a fun deck, right? I mean... And fun is subjective, right? This is how like we were, right? I mean, if your meta loves who can get their combo fastest, man, do it.
You know what? Okay, so also before we go, I wanted to talk about that a little in a bit more depth because you shared an article on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about this for a second.
Sure.
Anyone who follows us on Twitter probably might have seen this. There was an article, like it's like a. I don't know. Was it even an article? It was weird. It was like a thing on Tapped Out.
What do you call those? Someone wrote a thing on Tapped Out. Are they articles? I don't know.
But it was done by like multiple people. It was almost like an oral history of that topic. It was interesting. It was cool.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. Taking the angle of just like, like how to identify some. I was most interested in it for like the idea of combos. Like because the more I think about it, right? Like 3 cards working together win you the game is a combo. But like 3 cards working together attacking to kill people, why does that not count as a combo, right? Like no one will ever be mad if you use combat to win, but sometimes people are mad if you use other cards to win other ways. I'm still wrapping my head around what is a combo? What makes it different?
I mean, I think
anyway, that was my
people
interest.
I think people do get upset when you use combat. I don't think people like. I agree that like generally people are more accepting of that, but like, you know, what's the traditional Zur deck we're talking about? Well, we're talking about strapping a bunch of auras on them and then attacking. Like we're talking about a combat based deck, really.
Right,
At
but
the,
like,
you know, at the end of the day here.
You know, I guess it comes down to like, what do people call cheap, right?
Well,
I mean,
so the heart of the sort of like discussion that we had kind of going on Twitter was that like the other things that article was saying was like they were basically saying, you know, spiky players in Commander are no fun, or people who like to build decks that are just about winning are not fun. And in fact, they had like an anagram for like, is it an anagram? No. What's
acronym.
Acronym, yeah. An acronym for it, for like explaining, and it was like douchebags. And it's like, I think that it's easy to be frustrated by players that are really spiky in Commander when that's not your take on things. And it's it's okay to not like that style of play, but it's like it's not constructive to just call people like that douchebags or some other crappy name, you know what I mean? So that was like a lot of people were taking issue with that part of it, which I
kind of viewed that as the humor of the intended humor of the piece.
I agree. I think it was pretty tongue in cheek, right? Like I don't think they were outright saying every spiky player is a douchebag or anything like that, but it was still the like, you know, it was like a real underlying message of the entire thing was that those people build their decks wrong.
Yeah, I suppose that message that's not a message I would get behind. I naively thought like, ooh, they have an interesting angle on combos. I would like to start the combo discussion. I was like, this is the wrong discussion. This is not the discussion I wanted to have.
Yeah. The combo discussion, that's something, right? That's. I think there's a lot to probably talk about there. It's like, I think people
thinking about it
when it comes to combos, it's about interaction, right? It's about like, if my only interaction with what you're doing is like a counter spell, that there's no real interaction there. It's like, but if a player builds a board and then attacks, which technically I guess is a combo if you want to call it that, there's a lot of ways to interact with that. There's blocking, there's removal, there's like kill spells, there's, you know.
But all of those things are true for other combos too, right? Like, I mean, there's counter spells, there's artifact destruction, there's enchantment destruction, right? There's I don't see why we like ultimately it's just cards on cards, right? Like, why is some of it count as fair, quote unquote, but some of it is not fair? I still don't see it.
Well, I guess it's because you don't always have that. It's like, at least in combat, if you have things on the board, there's more opportunity for interaction. Whereas like if a person is playing Storm, it's like, well, do you have a counterspell? If the answer is no, I get to do 1,000 things and win the game, and you get to do nothing.
Yeah.
You know? Like I get like at its, I think at the purest form, it's like Storm versus some other thing. It's like Storm asks the question of like, can you stop this?
I think you put it very neatly a minute ago, just saying how like it's just boring, right? Like if you've got 100 cards and if you basically are trying to see the same 4 every game, that kind of seems like it's against the spirit of it, or it's against the point. Like that's just like I'm building these 100 cards to work together to get these 4 every time. Whereas I'm a bigger fan of decks that are like, every card can show up, every card can do a cool thing. Sometimes I win with these ones out, sometimes I win with these ones out. Those decks are far more interesting to play against, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course. And I think I think most players would probably agree with that, especially players in the casual side of things. We're not talking about competitive EDH. We're not talking about 1v1. We're talking about multiplayer, like casual stuff, right? So that's the thing, though. But at the same time, like the people who wrote that article, well, I do think it was cheeky. It wasn't meant to like be real, like hard, like a hard line, like you can't do this or you're the worst or something. But because I've written articles like I wrote an article for EDH Rec where I think I called something, it was something similar, where it's like, if you run stacks, like here's how to be the worst person in the world, basically. But then I made a stack. I was like, well, guess what? You know what? I'm going to do the same thing then, right? It's like, I'm going to be the worst. I'm going to join you and do this. I would never tell people to not like never play it. It's just like, yeah, I don't think it's super fun to have it happen.
Right. This is the thing about the world. Everybody has fun in their own way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you need to align yourself with people who have fun in a similar way as you.
Yeah.
And if you don't, there's going to be friction.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think the solution is like talk it out.
Yeah, and I think you're totally right. I think the people that I empathize with are like, you know, maybe there's some folks out there who like they don't have a play group of their buddies who all play Commander. Like we're kind of lucky in that way.
We are so lucky
in that we have like a group of at times 8, you know, but at the smallest like 2 or 3 people who want to play Commander with us. Whereas like some people, their only thing they can do is go to their local game store and they have to play with the people that are there who play Commander. And they love the format and they wish it was like that. But then sometimes there's a person there who isn't, I don't know, who they have their own ideas about. And it's like, you can talk about it with that person, but they might just not be willing to listen. And then what do you do, right? It's like, then you probably get angry and you might go write an article or whatever. I saw a video on, and I think we'll wrap it up in a bit here, but like, I saw a video recently on Reddit, I think it's an old video, of a person who was playing casual like 60 card games of Magic. And the person was like, okay, just say what you said to me again. Like that's the guy filming it. And he's like, nowhere in the rules does it say like I can't have my library separated into 2 piles. And therefore he had like I can't remember which card it was, but something that revealed the top of his library. And so it's like, so I can look at these 2 things because they're both the top of my library.
What?
So it's like it turns out he's just blatantly wrong about that. Like there is specifically a rule that says you can't have your library in more than 1 pile. So he's just straight up wrong. But like, you know, the people playing with him were like, okay, like I guess there's no rule, but like, come on, man, like you can't do that. It's like, how do you deal with that? And in the video, the girl he's playing with, she gets really mad at him. And can you imagine having to argue with this guy for like 10 or 15 minutes about whether or not he's allowed to do that? And then he just won't stop doing it. It's like, well, what do you do?
And that's so tough, right? Do you remember this happened to me when I was younger, playing baseball with the little team, little gang of kids, and one kid insists he's safe at first, and everybody knows he's out. But he's just like, nope, I'm safe. And so we just ignore him and let him stand on first base and pretend he's not there and like you know, hopefully you get the other 3 outs before he gets to home plate, but you can't like, I don't know, man. Sometimes people have bad days and it's like, I don't know, man, like, you know, let's just have some fun. But yeah, I think it behooves us all to look in and be like, what is our fun look like? What is fun to us? Because if we can articulate that, it'll be easier to find people who share that type of fun.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I wouldn't try to police anyone else's fun or tell them what they should be doing to have fun. If some people love to combo off on turn 2 or 3 in Commander, great. I really do think if that's fun for them, I would hope that they find a place where they can do that without people getting mad at them. If people want to wait till turn 25 to play anything, you know, and or whatever, and they just want to draw cards the whole game, I think you should be okay to do that. I think even with stacks, if you want to stop everyone else at the table from playing except for you, and that's fun to you, it's like, okay, I hope you find a group of people that allows you to do that without them getting mad at you.
Yeah, because for some people, it's fun to overcome a stacks deck.
Yes, exactly.
But for some people, it's just like, this is not fun for me. There's nothing that will make this fun, right? Which one? Exactly. Know which one you are.
Know which one you are. Try and find like-minded people. I know it's like next to impossible for some people. I know it's sometimes just difficult in general. And if it's friends who are doing it, well, luckily then you have the recourse of talking to them about it. And I think that sort of advice has been out there quite a bit. So empathize.
I'll tell you a great place.
Yeah,
a great place to find people to play with is going to be GP Vegas.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, and we're going to be there.
Yeah.
So if you're at GP Vegas, holler at your boys. Get at us on Twitter or shoot us an email or something, and we want to play a ton of Magic when we're there. So that's what we're there for. We're going to be playing the whole time.
Yeah. what are the medical implications from not sleeping for the entirety of GP Vegas?
And only ever staring at cards.
Yeah, right.
And saying, wait.
Yeah,
Don't
just
play your
staring
control decks, I
blankly.
guess. Yeah.
Like, what is an island again?
It's
Someone
gonna
plays an
happen.
island. Hey, can I read that?
It's coming up. Hey, it's April right now. We're in the middle of April.
Yeah.
Like it's middle of June, right? So it's only 2 months away. Wow. Nuts. Crazy. Well, that'll be the end of that. If you have anything, if you want to talk to us more about this previous topic here or anything like that, hit us up at Twitter. You'll get all that info in a second. But otherwise, stick around for the Commander's Brew Commander interview. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back to the Commander interview. This is where we interview a commander from the show, from a card or something. And I'm sure it will come as no surprise that we are interviewing Zur today. Unfortunately, Andy could not be here. There's some guys doing construction work outside his place, and he wanted to go see if he could help with the drills. But Zur, it's great to have you here. Thank you for coming on the podcast. How have you been?
Oh, I've been great. I've just been fantastic. Getting a reprint in Modern Masters 2017 is a real treat. More foils for everyone.
Well, we are excited to have that. We are excited to have you. Now, you are a controversial commander. There are some people who say that you are a no-fun commander, that your playstyle can tend to be degenerate. How do you respond to this?
What? Why? I'm always having fun. I don't know what people are talking about. I'm no fun. I'm a lot of fun. I don't even wear shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Shoes are not fun. That's the real thing that's not fun around here. Socks.
That's possible. Yeah, your feet are very dirty, though. You have very dirty feet.
Well, I mean, you try not wearing socks living in a city. It's just, it just comes with the territory here.
Right. I suppose what I'm getting at, though, is like although you may be having fun, some people don't think it's fun to play against your deck.
Oh, some people don't want to play against my deck. Why? Because my feet are on the table constantly when I'm playing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have very dirty feet.
What, is it because my stick is constantly knocking things over?
Yeah.
It's an unwieldy large stick, okay? But guess what? It's fun for me. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I as we were discussing, I think it's important for everyone to have their fun and this, but like you do see how that comes at other people's expenses. You broke one of our lights in the studio.
I broke one of your lights in the studio. I mean,
we need to replace this.
Is that because there's a constant stream of magical energy shooting out of my eye and just above my head? Yes, but guess what? This is a lot of fun up here. Okay? A lot of people think that a cotton candy looking energy fissure out of the top of your head is great fun. And I'm one of them. I'm right in on it. A lot of people.
Is it cotton candy? Could we eat it?
It's mostly cotton candy, yes. It's mostly cotton candy that comes out of there. I just like having a constant stream of cotton candy following me around. But, there's if I need to power it up, it powers up as well.
That's starting to sound a little bit more fun. Like, so maybe
This is what I'm saying.
Right? Maybe I can put up with your dirty feet on my playmats if you brought some treats.
So I need to bring treats for everyone now? Well, I'll tell you what, I got a couple treats. Yeah, they're in my deck. There's a couple great auras in my deck. Hey, Sean, watch how I hold this microphone.
Yeah. Oh, you're holding it like you barely hold the stick.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
You can hold things with your shoulder and your neck.
Do you refuse to hold your stick with your hand because your hands are covered with some sort of sticky mess that is now all over my table and my bowls and my glasses?
I'll tell you one thing. I don't notice the sticky mess if there is one. So the answer there is going to be a hard no. But I'll tell you what. I like holding my stick like that because guess what? That's the fun way to hold a stick. Do you know what I mean? That's the fun way to hold things. It's between your neck and shoulder and over under your elbow like that. But also, you know what? Grow your fingernails out as long as you want. How about that for a fun tip? You don't have to listen to anyone. Splay your toes and grow your fingernails.
Now, Zur, do you mind if we probe a little deeper here? Can we get personal for a second?
Please, let's do it. Yes.
Do you hold the stick that way? Not because it's fun, but because you think it looks cool and you want everyone to think you're cool.
Well, I mean, okay, let's break this down a bit here, okay? Do I think that it's cool to hold the stick that way? Yeah, it's cool to hold the stick that way. I mean, look at it. I look like friggin' James Dean on this picture here. You know what I mean?
A little bit.
I look like Elvis Presley in here. You know what I mean? Holding a stick. Yeah, I never saw Elvis hold a stick like that, and he's the number one cool guy.
He's a pretty cool guy.
All time. Number one
cool
guy. Number one cool guy all time, Elvis Presley. Number two, Fraser. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so I'm getting up there. And but is it because I want people to think I'm cool? I mean, if that's what they think,
well,
great.
okay, sir.
I think
now,
that's a fun side effect of holding the stick that way.
Well, okay. For this, I will like to thank you for coming on. Now, normally with all of our guests, we take a commemorative photo that we put on our guest wall. So I'm going to take your photo in a moment. So if you can just do a normal pose with a normal smile, and I will take your photo so that we can put it on our wall to display just all the wonderful guests we've had over the time we've been here.
You know what I'll do for just to be special here? I'll give you a bit of a cool pose. How's that sound? I'll give you a nice cool pose, and and that way you can really sure. I'll give you a normal cool pose. How's that sound?
Yeah. Okay, we just want a regular.
No, it's going to be great. I think this is something you're going to be able to look back on and just be super pleased with. Okay, so
okay.
Hang on, just gotta get the old foot up here.
No, gross. That's your real foot. Your real foot. There.
Cool. All right.
Ew.
Okay, and hey,
it's not as dirty as I thought.
No, I mean, look, I just cleaned it recently. But, yeah, I mean, really only the YouTube viewers will see this pose. But, so here, we're going to do this. And then I'm just going to hold the mic in the most cool way. Okay, there we go. Take a picture, whatever you want. Super cool.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to take that picture in a sec. Let me just here, okay, just got to get the focus up.
Okay.
Hang on.
It's sort of hard to hold the position here, but...
No, hang on. Yeah, I got to frame it.
It is very cool. You can't deny that.
Yeah. Hang on, hold it.
Okay.
Hold it.
The foot's starting to hurt here.
Okay, no, my app's frozen. Hang on a sec.
Just take the damn picture.
Oh, I was in video mode. Hang on a second. Say cheese.
Cheese.
Oh, you know what's better than that? Say enchantment.
Okay, honestly, the energy coming out of my head is it's getting out of control here. You gotta take this thing.
Okay, there we go. Great photo.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Zur.
If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.